Welcome in. It's another edition of Where the 99 Lead. I'm Andrew Joyce, your host, and the program brought to you by the University of Pikeville, where we talk about those historic 99 steps that lead to the University of Pikeville campus and also lead from campus into the community and into the world. Today, we truly go worldwide with this edition of Where the 99 Lead. Special guest in studio today. We talk about the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine Medicine mission trip, and joined by a husband and wife team. Very cool to have a husband and wife team on Where the 99 Lead. Andy French, a Kentucky Com student at the Osteopathic School. Welcome in.
Thank you.
Let's talk about your background. Let's talk about where you come from and how you arrived here.
Well, I grew up in Virginia, and that's where I did my undergraduate school at the College of William and Mary. I actually met my wife there, and we dated for a few years before getting married. And when I was applying to medical school, I wanted to go to a school that would prepare me for the field that I wanted to go into, which is primary care, and I'm hoping to work in a rural area. And this university is well known for preparing doctors to go into that specialty. So it was one of my top choices, and when I got in, I was really excited. So it was not a hard decision to come here, and we've loved it ever since we moved.
And Andy, what year med student are you now?
I just finished my first year.
Okay.
I'll start my second year in 2 weeks.
I don't know what others have told you, but from what I hear, first year's the toughest. Once you get past that first year, you're on a good road.
Keep my fingers crossed and hope that's true.
And I know you're glad to have that first year behind you. And how special is it to be able to attend medical school and your wife happen to be on campus as well?
I think it's the best possible situation we could have hoped for. I mean, having her nearby she's a great support system, and I've enjoyed being able to see her during lunch if I have the chance. And it's just been great. We were really excited when she got the on-campus job.
And of course, your wife, Sarah French. Yeah. Welcome to Where the 99 Lead. Let's talk about your background, and let's talk about this meeting at William and Mary.
Yeah, so we both went to William and Mary, and we met through the Baptist Collegiate Ministries there. We were both went there, and we were the same year in college, and our dorms were kind of near each other, so we would walk to BCM together a little bit. But then our sophomore year, I lived in a dorm that was like really far on the edge of campus, and we would have events like late at night, and Andy realized that I was walking home by myself, and so he was like, well, you can't walk home by yourself, and started walking me home.
Sure.
And
that's a great excuse.
That's where it started.
That's a great move, my man.
So that's where it all started.
Yeah. And you're also from Virginia.
Yes.
And you arrived here at the University of Pikeville. Of course, great situation. Andy, a ChiCom student, and you're an employee at the University of Pikeville. Let's talk about what your role is there on campus.
So I'm one of the IT technicians on campus. So I work in the IT department, and if people have issues with their computers or any of the projectors in the classrooms, any of the technology, they call it the IT department, and I'm one of the people that will respond, go help fix their computers, install the new computers on campus, that kind of stuff.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. And we're here today to talk about the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine mission trip. It's an annual trip, and I know it's an important part of ChiCom, of course, educating aspiring physicians, but also the mission trip helping others. And I know that's an important part of the educational process. And I think it's very cool that you, as a married couple, one an employee of the university, another a student at ChiCom, able to participate together. Prior to traveling to the Dominican Republic, have you volunteered for mission work in the past, Andy?
When I was in college, I did several international mission trips. I went to Kenya for a few weeks, and I've been to Haiti and Jamaica, and they've always been great experiences. I've never never had anything but a positive experience doing mission work, and I loved it, and I was really glad to have the opportunity to do that again when I was in medical school.
Absolutely. Sounds like you've been on several mission trips, so it's kind of a bug for you.
It's something I love doing. I hope to continue.
Absolutely. And Sarah, before going to the Dominican Republic this summer, let's talk about your travels, your mission work.
I've done mission trips probably almost as long as I can remember, starting in like the summer after my 6th grade year in the youth group. I've been on a mission trip at least once a year, every year but one since then. So yeah, it's kind of, I've done a lot of work in the U.S. and I've been on several international trips. This was my 4th mission trip to a Caribbean nation, and I've done work in Costa Rica and Switzerland, and I've been a lot of places on mission trips. So I was really excited. But this is my first medical mission trip. I've never been on a, because I don't have any medical experience. So I hadn't been on one of those before. So I was really excited to.
And not a lot of need for IT people.
Right. Yeah.
Those countries as well, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But, on a medical mission trip, certainly I would imagine it is a different experience. And Andy, as you travel on different mission trips, is each one absolutely 100% completely different than the last one?
There's a lot of different aspects. There's some similarities too. You work in poverty a lot of the time, and that it seems like cross-culturally there's a lot of similarities between different communities. You see similar living conditions, malnourishment, poor housing, but you also see a lot of optimism in every impoverished community I've been to. The people are generally cheerful and content with what they have, although they try and improve life for themselves and their families as best they can.
Always glad to see you.
Exactly.
When you arrive.
Exactly.
I would imagine so. CHICOM students have participated in the mission trip each summer for a number of years now. Tell us about the mission trip and why the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine returns each year.
Well, we partner with a missions organization that's based in Lexington, Kentucky, and they do work in the Dominican Republic in a village called Bate Nueve, which is a small village in the middle of the sugarcane fields. So sugarcane is the Dominicans' #1 export. So a lot of people live in these small Bate communities. It was about 2,000 people in the village, and most of the men harvest sugarcane all day. So we go down there. There's no medical clinic there. The nearest hospital is an hour's drive away, and I think only 2 people in the village had a car. So it's very difficult for them to go anywhere to get medical care. So they rely on trips like ours for all of their healthcare needs. And that's the main reason we go there, is because there's that need, and we have a good relationship with Go Ministries in Lexington and with the community there. So,
in the Dominican Republic, as you travel to this community in the middle of the sugar canes, and I can envision, here we sit in the coal fields, and you have coal mines surrounding a small community, as it was several decades ago. This is what it's like in the Dominican Republic, except there are sugar canes everywhere, and you've got a small community. How many other medical mission trips make their way there on an annual basis? I'm trying to determine how much medical care these people get if this is what they are relying on.
I couldn't give you an exact number. I'd say a total of 2 or 3 a year, probably.
Right.
I know.
If that.
I know we're the only one, CHICOM is the only group that goes with Go Ministries to provide medical care every year. They may get some other government or Peace Corps type things that come through, but it's the only group that they know for sure we're the only group that goes with Go Ministries every year to that area. So they get medical care at least once a year. There might be a couple other groups that come through, but that's maybe not as reliable.
Think about the medical care that we receive. If we get sick, we go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Sometimes we go to the doctor when we probably didn't need to go to the doctor. We may have overreacted, or whatever the case may be. And these people, when they're relying on once or twice a year for medical care because it's not accessible, There aren't vehicles there. It's not readily available, and I would imagine you see a lot of different situations that change from year to year if they're only seeing a physician and receiving medical care once a year. What are some of the medical conditions that are seen in the Dominican Republic, and what's the availability of other medical care there?
Well, the medical conditions we saw were different from what you'd see around here. They don't have as many of the first world conditions that you see here, obesity or smoking-related diseases, simply because they don't have those resources available to them.
Sure.
So we saw a lot of malnutrition. A lot of the kids there were very, very thin. So we made sure everybody we saw got vitamins at least, but they were still thin. Parasites were another big problem. Because they don't have access to clean water, everybody we saw also got an anti-parasite pill to kind of clean out their gut. We also saw some fungal infections that you don't really see around here very much. And one thing we didn't see that I was expecting to was cavities. We saw a handful of cases of cavities out of the many people we saw there. So
Wow. Why is that?
I don't know for sure.
Okay.
If I had to guess, I'd say it's diet related. They don't have access to as many of the simple sugars that we do that get on your teeth and feed the bacteria that cause cavities.
Right. So different types of medical conditions that we see here, basically because we're spoiled.
You could say that.
We have plenty of food. We have things that will hurt us.
Yeah.
And they're not readily available for them. The biggest problem they fight is clean water, something
Right.
that we certainly take for granted
Yeah.
because it is readily available. We can get it in plastic bottles. We can turn on a faucet and it's there for us. And it's something that I know they appreciate, and it's something that's been battled in the many mission trips there, is trying to provide that water, but certainly trying to provide ways to battle the parasites that come from that water as well. So you're seeing malnutrition. What other types of conditions do you see there that maybe you didn't expect to see?
I didn't expect to see. There were a surprising number of burns that we saw. I wasn't expecting that, but since no one has cars, the main mode of transportation after walking is riding motorcycles.
Right.
More like dirt bikes than what we'd think of. But they would pile 4 or 5 people on these bikes, and they would get burns on their legs quite often from the hot engine.
Right.
And they have no way to clean it, so we'd see these festering wounds that we'd have to take care of.
Right. Our guests today on this edition of Where the 99 Lead, Andy and Sarah French, fresh back from the Dominican Republic on a medicine mission trip with Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine. Andy, now a second-year student at ChiCom, and Sarah, an employee of the University of Pikeville. And Sarah, while you don't have medical training, you're on a medicine mission trip.
Yeah.
But I would imagine there are a lot of other things that need to be done in the community, around the community, while the aspiring physicians, the medical team working with patients and things. There are other things to be done around the community. How did you spend your days in the Dominican Republic?
So the group of us that went that aren't medical professionals, the first 3 days we did construction. There were several construction projects we worked on in the area. We worked on constructing a church in one of the neighboring communities. We worked on digging a well for one of in the community they were doing the medical clinic in. So those are kind of the 2 main projects. The first 2 days we were working on helping them with construction on the church, and then the last day we worked on digging the well, which was basically just a 10 by 10 by 10 foot hole.
Right.
So there's a lot of shoveling and moving dirt.
Sure.
But it was good. It was, and then the last day we did a vacation Bible school for the children in the community.
Sure.
So we did that.
How's that received?
It was received really well. The construction, it was interesting because, they see this group of Americans coming into town, and we're working on buildings for them, working on digging this cistern for them, and I think that our presence inspired them to work on it too. So like by the end of the day, when we started construction in this church, like the whole village is out helping us build it. And then we're digging this cistern. All of the children come out and like they're grabbing our shovels, like they want to dig too. And so they're really excited to see us there. And just they came, we were talking about as a group, if a group of people from another country came to America and were helping build something in our town, would that inspire people to just come out and help,
Right.
like it did down there? So it was really good. And, one of the people on the trip asked sometime during the week, would it have been better if I had just sent, the $2,000 I paid to go on the trip, I just sent the money to them and didn't actually come. And the people there would much rather, when the mission trip leader out, told that person to ask, the people there, would you rather me send you money or just come? And they would much rather have us come and help and be a presence in their community than just, send them financial aid
Right.
without ever coming to help them. So it's kind of good.
And now they expect UPike to show up every year.
Yeah. I know that, so Dr. Hurley, the president of UPike, also went on the trip, and I know he was really excited about the partnerships that could happen between that community and the university. So I expect that you'll be seeing a lot more of the university going down to help Ate Nueve.
Plans to go back next year?
We'll have to see. The hard part about the trip is that it happens during the summer, and so when Andy is after second year, he'll have to take boards while they're on the trip. So
Most of the students who went, in fact, all the students who went had just finished their first year. All of the second year students were holed up studying for their big exams. So
I know it is a tough time as you prepare for exams after that second year. Andy, we talk about students preparing very early for the trip, making preparations, gathering items. We talked earlier about vitamins, and I know there are basic health care items, grooming items that are also part of the trip. What are some of the activities you do and the items that you collect before going on a trip like this?
Well, like you said, the main thing we gathered up was vitamins. We took vitamin donations from anywhere we could get them, vitamins and other medicines. I don't know exactly how many medications we gathered, but every person on the trip checked a large duffel bag full of medicines to go into the country. When we asked the Go Ministries what we could do to prepare for the trip, he said the number one thing you can do is learn Spanish, because almost everyone there speaks Spanish.
Right.
So we all had our list of key phrases and medical terms that we tried to learn, and we tried, but we still had to rely pretty heavily on our translators while we were there.
I would imagine it's appreciated just that you attempt.
That's what he told us. They love that we make the effort.
Right. Sarah, I know you've put a lot of thought into the trip before traveling to the Dominican Republic. You've been going on mission trips since sixth grade, so you're old hat at this. How did the actual experience in the Dominican compare to what your expectations might have been?
Yeah, I've been on a lot of mission trips before, but I hadn't ever been on a medical mission trip.
Right.
And for me, that was kind of interesting preparing as a non-medical person. I kind of wondered what role I would play. How helpful would I really be other than just getting to be part of the experience with the medical students. And it was, so I wasn't really sure, but I kind of came with a willing attitude, like I'm willing to do whatever they need. If they just need somebody to say hi to people as they come into the clinic, I can do that, And I was pleasantly surprised. We had a lot to do. We worked all day on construction, so we were really able to be a part of the community that way. And it was really, for me, it was cool because when Andy's in medical school, I don't really, being an employee at the university, I get to see a lot of that. But, of course, when he's in practice, I won't get to be a part of that. That he'll be doing that on his own, and I won't see how that happens for him day to day. But it was really cool for me to see the medical students come together as a group and just be able to watch how they did the clinics, because that I just thought that was really special for me to be a part of that and see how they did that. So I was really surprised by how well the trip went for me and how much of a part I was able to play, even though I didn't have any medical experience.
Sure.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Andy, do you have a specific memory or an experience from the trip that stands out to you?
One day in the clinic, like I said, most of the people spoke Spanish, and we
Right.
had to rely on translators. But a number of people in the community were Haitian immigrants, and in Haiti, the language is Creole.
Right.
So there were a few people that even our translators couldn't communicate with.
Yes.
So one lady we saw early in the morning was a Haitian immigrant who was bilingual in Creole and Spanish. And after we saw her, she knew that we'd have trouble communicating with some of the other Haitians.
Sure.
And she stayed the rest of the day to translate for us. She started out as a patient, and she ended up being an essential part of the team.
Right.
Just, not for pay or anything, she wanted to be part of the service to her community.
Sure.
And that was really gratifying to see. That it inspired us.
Right.
Who'd come there to serve, to see someone from the community step up to serve like that.
Would imagine very poor, doesn't have a lot to offer financially,
Certainly.
but a service like that is priceless,
Right.
and it helps the team. Do you have a specific memory, Sarah, that stands out to you, an experience that you'll remember from here on?
Yeah, on the last day when we did VBS, I helped with the crafts, and so we had all the kids come in and we're doing crafts, and it's kind of chaos when you're doing that, especially since we don't speak Spanish fluently. We're trying to explain the craft to them and help them do it, and we've got about 10 Spanish words that we're trying to use to help them do that. And so most of the kids are kind of running all over, but there was this one little boy who just sat down with his coloring and just was so meticulous and just really took his time, and all the other kids kind of colored and then they just kind of left really fast, and he sat there and just really colored everything in, and I was able to sit with him and just kind of just talk to him a little bit while he was coloring, and just to see how excited he was to get crayons and to color. And I thought about how he's probably somebody who would be artistically gifted. He was just a little kid, but a creative person, and in his community there's probably not a lot of opportunities for that.
Sure.
Just they're more focused on providing for their basic needs rather than artistic opportunities. And so he was really special to me. I really enjoyed just getting to sit with him and let him have that time. That was cool. I really enjoyed that.
It's Where the 99 Lead, a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville. Today we talk about the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine mission trip to the Dominican Republic. Andy and Sarah French just back from the Dominican Republic on the mission trip. Andy, a ChiCom student, and Sarah, an employee at the University of Pikeville. And Sarah, every year there are members of the community that travel with the medical team to the Dominican Republic. And there's also faculty that attends. What would you tell someone who's considering doing this type of mission trip that maybe is from outside the medical field?
I would definitely encourage them to do it. I was, like I said, I was a little nervous because, what can I offer to the team? But just simply our group being a presence in the community and showing that as Americans we care about them as people. We're not just there to give them something and leave. We're not trying to play, some kind of American Santa Claus or something like that, because in the evenings, after the clinics, we would, we play soccer with them, and on Sunday we had a team that played baseball against them and got stomped, but they just showing that we really care about their community. And I think and even if you aren't a medical person, you have a lot to offer in that aspect. We were able to help them with construction. I mean, even if there wasn't a construction team, just talking to people as they come into the clinic, being a part of the community there, being a presence, is really powerful. And I really think trips like this are good to help us keep things in perspective. It's really easy to kind of lose our perspective when we get caught up in our day-to-day life, and being able to go and serve somewhere, no matter where it is, I think is really good to help us keep what's important in perspective.
Andy and Sarah both old hat at mission trips. Prior to this trip, you'd been on many mission trips in the past, but Andy, as you talk to first-year med students coming in, and maybe they ask you about the mission trip, is this something I should do, and why? Maybe someone who's never been on a mission trip before and has some interest, what would you tell them?
I'd encourage them to really think about it, and if they have a heart for service and want to see how the things we're learning in school are applied in a different context than Pikeville Medical Center, I would say it's a great opportunity. You get to work with people who don't ordinarily get medical care and really make a difference in their lives, and you get to learn a lot about how to practice medicine with limited resources.
Sure, absolutely. I would imagine under some of the worst conditions. If you can practice medicine in those conditions, then
You should be able to do it anywhere.
be able to do it anywhere, absolutely. Andy, what impact do you think this mission work will have on you, on your practice, on your patients down the road when you are in your physician practice?
I think one of my big takeaways from this trip is the importance of a physician's compassion. Just if your patients know that you care and you're willing to be there for them and you want to help them, that you can see that means a lot to people. Even if we had one lady with kidney stones, for example, and there was really nothing we could do to treat that, but we were willing to sit with her and talk with her and do what we could, and she appreciated that. You could see it on her face that she was glad she'd come, even though we couldn't cure her.
Right.
We could be there. So I think being able to remember that, treating my patients as people that I can build relationships with is important.
Very good. And representing the University of Pikeville and ChiaCom very well, Andy and Sarah French, thanks so much for being with us today and telling us the story, because there's so many of us that hear about the trip that would love to be a part, but we have to experience it through you. We appreciate what you guys do, and good luck in second year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andy and Sarah French, guest on this edition of Where the 99 Lead. We've been talking about the ChiaCom Medical Mission Trip. Coming up, next edition of Where the 99 Lead, who knows where we'll take you. We'll talk academics, we'll talk athletics, we'll talk all things UPike on the next edition of Where the 99 Lead. It's brought to you by the University of Pikeville, the leading university of Central Appalachia. I'm Andrew Joyce. Thanks for tuning in.